Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to this second part of the Cabral HouseCalls, the Sunday edition of the show. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for joining me here today. Excited to get into more of our community's questions. Yesterday, we went through 6 great questions. We try to get through 6 questions every Saturday, 6 questions from the community every Sunday. Yesterday, we spoke about achalasia, or feeling like you always have to swallow, like there's something caught in your throat. We spoke about an inability to digest a lot of oils or fats, having your gallbladder removed as well. We talked about best supplements during pregnancy, as well as how to remove yeast overgrowth while pregnant as well. Talked about varicose veins. Let me see if there's anything else we seem to have covered as well. Always lots of topics we go over. So again, if any of these questions seem pertinent to you or maybe a family member, definitely go back, check out yesterday's show. But I would also say this is that whenever a lot of these, the health shows, I obviously produce a new show every day, but what you want to think about is this. It's never about just answering any one question. It's about moving and building up your health-based knowledge base. And by doing that, you're able to start to see connections through all of these different health maladies and understand that there's a lot of similar root causes that if we get at the root cause, we're able to help a lot of these health-based issues. So that's what I hope to do in these questions. Of course, I want to help people with symptomatic relief, yes, but I really want to look at the underlying root cause and get to those imbalances so that if we rebalance those, life gets so amazing from there. You get that energy back, you get that glow back, you just feel so much better. And that's really what I hope for you and for many, many other people out there. So let's now get into our questions. First question today is coming from Kazz. Kazz says, "Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you for sharing with us all your health knowledge. It's so appreciated. I have a question regarding vitamin D3 and the ingredient you use, specifically Cholecalciferol. I searched on your podcast for information regarding this and couldn't find it. I've heard and my own follow-up research results show that this ingredient is used in rat poison, and there seems to be some adverse side effects with similar in humans. I'm sure you have some information on this, and I'd love to hear more from it, from your perspective, maybe even a whole podcast, if there is much info and people would benefit from it. There's not too much discussion on this online that I can see, and maybe your balanced perspective on this ingredient could help people. I'd love a juicy discussion about it from you, if worthy of one, and why you think it's a good thing for us when it's an ingredient in rat poison. I do understand that most of us are deficient in vitamin D, and supplementing could benefit us. Why this ingredient is used in rat poison, and then what about the symptoms some people experience while taking it?" All right. All good questions. I'm happy to answer this. Worthy of a full podcast? I couldn't say that, but here's why. It's actually a very simple answer. So remember, I've learned this many, many years ago. I always would jump to conclusions. And I'm not saying, Kazz, that you're doing this at all, but I just always want you to understand sometimes there's actually a simple and fairly elegant answer. And so and the elegance does not come from me, so I'm not saying that, but it's a simple answer. So Cholecalciferol is the only ingredient that's vitamin D3. So that's actually the name for vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 is just like a fun name. Like think of it. Vitamin B3 is niacin. Okay, so you would say vitamin B3, okay? But the real name is niacin. So the real name for vitamin D3 is the cholecalciferol, okay? So that's just the name of it. Now, is it used in rat poison? Well, it is. And before that, actually, warfarin was, a blood thinner was. And here's why. Rats are not humans. And so when rats get this vitamin D3, which they're not meant to get at this level, right? They're just not, because rats don't need vitamin D3 like humans do. And so when rats are given it, again, not for rats, but when they're given it, then what happens is it builds up calcium in their bloodstream and it breaks down their kidneys. That's why. So this is not the case for humans, but I'll explain that with one little caveat in a moment, because again, I like to stay balanced on these things. Why did warfarin used to be used for rats? And it's more expensive, which is why they don't use it anymore. They just use vitamin D3, which again is not able to be consumed by rats. So they used to use warfarin, which would thin the blood so much it would cause the internal organs to actually fail. So that's how it would be used as a rat poison. So there's many cases of this. If you think of like diatomaceous earth, okay, well, diatomaceous earth has been shown to kill like all sorts of critters and gut bugs as well. And it's okay for us, but not so great for them. So just understand that some ingredients are okay depending on the species of animal, insect, rodent, etc. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, vitamin D3 shown to be perfectly healthy and needed by humans. And remember, over this past year, even if you only took one vitamin because of this pandemic, like only one, which you should obviously take more than one, but let's say you're only taking one, it would be vitamin D3. Because those people supplementing with vitamin D3, there was almost no death when you took vitamin D3. I mean, that was the amazing thing. Like the mortality was just gone. Even people in hospitals, it dropped dramatically. So I'm not saying it's a cure-all. I'm not saying it's a cure for any pandemic. I'm not saying it's a cure for any virus. I'm not saying that it's even a medical treatment protocol. But I would definitely look into all the research I presented on that at least 5 times on the different research. Okay, so now let's get back, but let's be balanced here. So there are studies, which again, this is the problem when conventional medicine starts to use vitamins and minerals that they were taught nothing about in medical school. So conventional medicine doctors will prescribe 50,000 IUs, 100,000 IUs, even 300,000 IUs for people. Okay, this is no longer a vitamin, it's a drug. And drugs cause problems in the body. But remember, it's not necessarily going to shut down the kidneys like in rats, but here's what happens. It causes calcium buildup in the arteries. And that's why I've said this over and over. You can look at studies and be like, oh, vitamin D is dangerous. Vitamin D is dangerous when used as a drug. But that goes for basically any vitamin. Like you can get neurological issues from taking too much of let's say like a B12 or B6. You take a normal dosage, it's what the human body needs, but you can't take a drug-like dosage. And a lot of times they're giving vitamin D2, by the way, in the studies. But regardless, it caused calcium buildup. Now, that's also saying you should be taking some magnesium as well, which helps with the calcium. So here's the thing. You take a normal amount of vitamin D3, approximately 35 IUs per pound of body weight. You run your vitamin D levels at least once on the dosage to see if it's the right dosage for you. And that's the safe, healthy way to do it. Again, I can't prescribe medical advice, but that's it. So remember, there's always oftentimes a reason why because I would never recommend anything harmful to you, nor would I recommend anything harmful for myself or my 2 daughters or anyone else. And there's also a reason why it works so well. So you have to use it as a vitamin, not as a drug, and also understand that humans are not rodents in the same way. So there's just a little difference there, but it's a good question. It really is. It's a really good question. All right, Jen is up next. Hey, Dr. Cabral, you and your team have helped me so much over the past 4 years with digestive distress and acne troubles, and I'm so grateful for all that you do. I was wondering if you had any podcasts that go into cavities. I went to the dentist in December and had to get 5 cavities filled, and I feel like I already have another 4 months later. I eat well, limit my coffee to 2 cups per day maximum. I exercise, I breathe through my nose normally, but in times of stress, my day job can be very stressful, and during hard workouts, I breathe through my mouth. Could this cause cavity formations? I never used to get cavities as a child. I got my first one at 18 years old. I'd love to get your take. Okay, Jenna, happy to help, and I'm really happy that you were able to overcome your digestive and acne-based issues, so good for you. Okay, so cavities can form over time because the enamel can become worn away on the teeth as well. So there's not as much of a protective coating. That's just one reason. So you want to make sure you're not grinding your teeth. That's really important. Ideally, you're not mouth breathing, but that can cause a buildup of anaerobic-based bacteria in the mouth. That can cause acidity, which can then cause erosion, which can then cause cavities. You're probably not eating a lot of sugar. I doubt that, or soft drinks or sodas. So if you are, definitely don't want to do those. And let's see what else. You could be mineral deficient as well. That's really important. So just make sure you get enough calcium and magnesium and vitamin D, all of those things to build up the strong, healthy minerals in your body. And I also have whole shows on biological dentistry because sometimes, and again, I'm not saying your dentist is doing this by any means, they call it preventistry, and they're filling cavities that really don't need to be filled. Meaning like, maybe there's a minor stickiness of the tooth and they're automatically going in and drilling right away. I'm not an advocate of that by any means, because you don't get to go backwards. Think of it as like a mini surgery. You don't ever get to undo surgery. You don't ever get that tooth back. So I would rather try to do oil pulling with sesame oil or coconut oil. Just pop a tablespoon in your mouth before you get in the shower. Just swish in while you're in the shower and then spit in the toilet when you get out. Breathe through your nose, of course. And then what else can I tell you? Use remineralizing toothpaste, always a good one to be able to do. And I think those are all recommendations to start. And then just go to stephencabral.com/podcast, and then just type in biological dentistry or type in cavities or oral hygiene, and you're going to find all sorts of different shows on that as well. All right, Stephanie's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm wondering if you have any new research or updated information about the AHCC supplement. Almost a year ago on one of your Friday Review podcasts, you had briefly mentioned it and specifically related to HPV, but said that you couldn't say much more about it. I recently had an abnormal Pap test, showed positive. I've been interested in the supplement and the research on it. My next question is, do you know of a good high quality AHC that you could purchase? Thank you for everything you do and sharing your knowledge. Listen to your podcast pretty much every day. Look forward to your response. Thanks again, Stephanie. Okay, so I know the exact supplement you're talking about. I just don't use it in my practice. It's not that I think it's a good supplement. I really do. I never do this during the show, but I'm going to do it for you. And so I'm going to pop this in because I don't know the supplement label off the top of my head because again, it is not a product that I use in my practice. And I'm going to give you not a reason why I don't. Well, I can give you a reason why I don't, but what I do instead. Okay, so it is mushroom extract. Yes, of course, that's what we know it is. And do I know the mushrooms that it's coming from? Let's see. It is coming from the Lentanula. Well, I certainly can't pronounce that, but is that another name for reishi? Let's see here. Okay. So I would say, again, I still lean towards it as a very good product. No doubt about it. It's high in beta glucans, which I've been using now for about 12 years in my practice because they help with natural killer cell activity. But here's what I do. Again, this is not a treatment protocol. You can use this product. And I don't think that there's actually a lot of downside at all. Like that's the thing. It's an expensive product. So that's kind of like the only downside is that really good products are typically not really expensive, but they're pretty expensive. They really are. And I know that there's clinical studies showing that AHCC helps with HPV. And there's no doubt about it. I think it's shiitake mushroom. I'm pretty sure now that it's coming like pop back into my brain that this is a shiitake mushroom. Here's the thing. I've used mushroom blends and I've used reishi specifically for rebalancing the body at an underlying root causal level for HPV. I also use, though, antiviral-based protocols. So it's not the only thing I would do is mushroom-based blends. I like them, but I would definitely be using, if it were me, again, let's just say I had HPV or my wife had HPV or someone had HPV in my family, I'd be using vitamin C, I would be using zinc, I would be using colloidal silver. And if you go back to my How to Destroy Viruses and Herpes podcast, which is a very popular podcast, that will give you kind of my whole antiviral protocol. And then on top of that, I would be adding reishi mushrooms and probably this AHCC product. Okay, good question. Victor's up next. After a near-death accident in 1994, I have not aged one day. People can't believe when they see pictures of 30 years ago, and even my primary care doctor said so. Can you explain? Victor, I cannot explain that whatsoever. I can't. I would love to know more, but I can't explain that. What I would do is I would actually run some labs to actually see like, hey, like, what do your hormone levels look like? I mean, that would be really interesting to see because let's just say it was when you were 20 and now it's 30 years later, you're 50. I mean, what do your testosterone levels look like? What do your cortisol levels look like? I would love to see these. That would be pretty amazing. So, I mean, of course, you can run the big 5 over at Equal Life, or you can, run any lab that you feel is appropriate for you. You might even want to run your telomere labs as well, and see what your telomere lengths say to see how biologically young you are. But no, I have no explanation. No explanation whatsoever. I apologize. I wish I could help you more. All right, Haley's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Hoping you can offer some suggestions. Stuttering in children. I have an 8-year-old son who's stuttering studying on and off for years. It's gotten persistently worse over the last 2 years. Seen a speech therapist who offers some techniques, not really helping. A couple of years ago, did some gut rebuilding, food sensitivity. Nothing had seemed to shift. Read increasing B1 and some other aminos may help. Regularly has the DNS. Mostly plant-based, give additional zinc, C, B12, and iron when we suspect these are on the low side. Being in Australia, can no longer do the postage or further testing. Do you have any idea of what else I could try? Yeah, this is a good question. So what I would say is like the DNS should pretty much cover you. Let's see, 8 years old, probably going to be 1 scoop. I don't know the child's weight, but if they're around, I don't know how much does an 8-year-old, my daughter does not weigh 75 pounds. So they might only need a half a scoop. And that's going to pretty much cover them. Now, of course, they could use a little extra. Just be careful with iron, with kids, because you just want to make sure that their levels don't get too high, because unless of course, and it's a boy, so unless it's a daughter and she's has her menstrual cycle, that there's no real way to get rid of iron from the body in a very efficient manner so it can build up. So, but there are others, zinc and C and B12, all of those are great. I typically don't do solo vitamins. I would do like a B complex, but you're going to get a full B complex in the DNS. So I would just make sure, the only one I didn't see there is the omega-3s. So omega-3s can be tied to any type of learning, speech, even visual-based disorder. So I can't recommend enough taking 1 capsule or like a half a teaspoon for a child of the omega-3 support over at Equal Life. You want more of the EPA than the DHA, I can tell you that for sure. And of course, you're welcome to use brands that you feel are reputable. But if you listen to yesterday's show, just make sure it's the triglyceride form. If not, it's going to cause too much oxidation in the body. Okay, but let's go to a couple other things. Oftentimes, anxiety, trauma, stress can lead to stuttering. Now, I don't know if any of this happened to your child. I can't say that, but I'm just saying look into that at least. Anxiety, stress, trauma, bullying, etc. Okay? Now, there's one more piece. A lot of children stutter and can stutter because of a inner ear disorder that does not get diagnosed properly, meaning they can't hear properly, so they don't actually even are not able to speak, because you have difficulty speaking if you can't hear as well, okay? So let's make sure they go to I don't know the name of an auditory-based doctor. That's interesting. An optometrist is obviously for the eyes. Isn't an audiologist? I actually have never thought about that. So go to a professional doctor that checks the ears, not just maybe your primary care, and check that out just to see if there might be something going on there. Okay, good question, Haley. I do hope that you find your answer, and I know that you will. Just keep on searching for sure, and you'll be able to get there. Okay, let's see. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, we've got one more for the day. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm so grateful for your work, and it's helped me so much. My question is about my 7-year-old son. From ages 3 to 4.5, we lived in a home with some mold. I've tested positive and have been working the CBO protocol and mold protocol myself. My son sneezes constantly, especially in the AM, also struggles with paying attention in school, listening, complying. I'm sure we have gotten out of the mold. I'm sure we've gotten the mold out of the house, and I've currently tested our house. He's allergic to mold, and dust at the doctor, but I've done a urine test. I've not done a urine test for him. I want to help him get rid of his symptoms. Assuming he does have mold, is there a kid protocol that is safe? Thanks so much for your advice. Greatly appreciated. Okay, so we're working on that because of the GI balance, which is capsule based. They're larger capsules, which are going to be difficult to swallow for a child. So if you write into our team at support@equa.life. I'm hoping that maybe even by the time that you write in, that we'll be able to help you do some substitutions. But we always do all of our protocols based on science. So we just want to make sure that we're giving you a good 1-for-1, and we're most likely going to switch you out to a specific citrus oil-based drop instead of the instead of the GI Balance, which is for the adults. And then everything else is going to be able to be used because you can actually open up the capsules of the Florafilm, and you can use the Paramine tablets are very small or could actually be crushed. And then there's the colloidal silver, which is liquid. So you'll be able to do, I believe, everything else. So we'll try to just get you a substitute for the GI Balance. All right. So Meredith, we're happy to help with that. All right. Great questions this week. And of course, we'll be back next weekend answering another dozen of our community's questions. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow on our Motivation and Mindset Monday, the best way to start the week. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. And before you go, I want to make sure that you know about this very special offer right now for Mother's Day. Of course, it doesn't have to be a Mother's Day gift, but one of the most popular offers that we had last year to our community was a big savings of $20 on our beauty bundle. And if you've not heard of our beauty bundle before, it is made up of our advanced collagen support, our full spectrum vitamin C, and our balanced zinc. These are items that are specifically used by the body in order to rejuvenate the skin and strengthen the hair, skin, and nails. So what's actually included with these is the advanced collagen support product, which is as easy as using 1 scoop of that in your daily smoothie or in your coffee, your tea, however you'd like to use it. It's almost flavorless. And it contains 3 patent ingredients that have been scientifically proven to improve your muscles, your joints, your skin, your nails, anything that uses collagen. As we age, we start to make less of it. So it's what supplements the body in order to strengthen all of those hair, skin, and nails on the body. Vitamin C is close to 1 gram of vitamin C per day in just 2 capsules. You can take 1 at breakfast and 1 at lunch, and it comes from both whole food, Ayurvedic-based foods, as well as functional medicine-based vitamin C. And that's close to 1 gram a day. So really great product. Love that product. And then balanced zinc, which balanced zinc is the perfect ratio of zinc to copper, and both of those are needed by the hair, skin, and nails. Not just zinc, but actually copper as well. So by keeping those in the proper ratio, we always make sure the body stays in more of an anabolic and a rejuvenating based state. So you get all 3 of these products, believe it or not, for just $79, which is $20 off the normal everyday price of $99. So in my opinion, definitely worth it for the typical $3 a day that it usually is, but now you're getting another $20 off per month. Really great supplement-based protocol to improve the overall hair, skin, nails, and begin to rejuvenate the body. So for this offer, head on over to equi.life while supplies last. Save $20 today. Take care.